Welcome to the Boone Podcast. I'm Bret Boone, and today on the program, I sit down with an all-star and a World Series champion.
I sacrificed a lot to come to New York. I wanted to be a part of something special.
He made me a better player, a better person.
Roy Halladay is my guy, man. He was tough.
Welcome to the Bret Boone Podcast. I am Bret Boone. Today, I'm joined by a friend of the podcast, a former teammate of mine, and you can see him every week. Baseball, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Eduardo Pérez. Eduardo, thanks for coming on, man.
What's going on? What's going on, little Boone? How's everything going? Doing well?
Little, but now it's little.
It used to be short, Boone. It used to be short, Boone. Now we go little Boone.
Eduardo, I'll tell you, I went to the doctor the other day. Bob Boone and I had a father-son doctor annual physical visit.
Did you grow?
Well, I've been getting some slack around the house that I'm not what I say I am. I've always checked in at 5'10", and so the nurse says, "Bret, do you want me to, check your height officially?" I said, "Not really." She's laughing at me. She goes, "Come on, take your shoes off." I did. I am down 3/4 of an inch from my all-time height. Bob Boone checked in at 6'1.5 inches.
Did he really?
He used to be 6'2" or 6'2.5".
Yeah.
So we do shrink.
Yeah, we do.
Have you shrank?
Not 6 foot anymore. He used to be 6'2". He's not there anymore.
It's bizarre. These are not fables out in the universe. These are facts.
Yoga. Let's get to it.
All right, I got a couple. Did you watch the draft, NFL draft?
I was studying for the Sunday night game. I did see a little bit of it. I know the gist of it. I might
touch on it on the way out of here. You're fresh off watching the Phillies and Cubs this Sunday night.
Yeah.
Man, Cubs are a story too. That's something I want to talk to you about. But overall, broad picture, month into the season, I don't know if I call it the biggest surprise for you, something you didn't see coming. You know the gist of it. Take something that's really, really jumped off the page to Eduardo.
Detroit pitching. I think it's jumped out big time. In the American League, you look at the Detroit pitching, it's legit. It's not only do you have the Cy Young Award winner there, but what Casey Mize has done early on. I meant, Schoolball, obviously, the Cy Young Award winner, but you get Casey Mize, Jackson Jobe, Flaherty, all these guys, their starting pitching is real. And, they're getting production out of guys that they hope to get production from in the past. And like Javi Baez has played short, third, center field. You're still getting the production from Torkelson, who they didn't think at the beginning of the season maybe even had a spot on the roster. Not only did he win the DH job, but he's raked, and now he's pretty much their first baseman as well. So the Tigers, with the best record in the American League, I think have stood out in a major way. And that is real. I think it's real, and I think it's because they've learned and they saw what they were able to accomplish in the second half of the season last year, especially after the Little League Classic, and they've been able to ride their young players in the American League.
I played golf right before spring training. I got a chance to meet Scooble because I really admired from afar, especially going to the postseason last year, Eduardo. I kept saying he's the X factor. He is the best pitcher in the postseason, and you don't want to get down to a win-or-go-home game and Scooble on the other side. Well, it ended up not working out for Detroit. Detroit got beat. So I played golf with him, got a chance to meet him and his buddies. And it's funny now as we're getting a little bit older, isn't it? These guys that are the horses, he's the Cy Young Award winner. He's just like a little kid.
I know.
He's my son's age. And, but I had a great time with a real humble guy. Talked about Detroit and pitching there and wanting to pitch. And this team's going to be better than we think we are. And so far, so good on his end for what he was saying. But it was pretty cool talking to him and see what that clubhouse is like. You mentioned Baez and Torkelson. These guys are both, Baez as of today is hitting over 300.
I know.
Who would have ever, if not on your bingo card, and Torkelson has kind of resurrected his career. He's always been highly touted, But like you said, coming into spring, we didn't even know if he's going to make the team, and he's a huge performer earlier in the season.
Yeah, he's made adjustments. He's made adjustments in his swing. We saw him in spring training earlier on in Lakeland, and his approach is completely different. He's in one piece instead of two, and the bottom half and the top half, let's talk old school here, weren't working together, and now it just seems like, okay, he's in attack mode. You know how you used to be yes, 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 no? He used to be last year, it seemed like he was no, 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 maybe, okay, should I? And he was caught in between. And now he's the aggressor, and it's working. And Javi Baez is healthy. And I think last year he saw what the team did without him. When he went on the IL, season shut down, had surgery, AJ called him back and said, I want you to be here for the stretch drive. I want you to see what we have here. And he's all in spring training, as a matter of fact. He even told AJ and he told Joey Cora, hey, if you guys need me, I can move over to third. If you guys need me, I can play center field. And I managed him in winter ball years ago when before he even established himself as a Chicago Cub. And he was our best second baseman. He was our best shortstop. He was our best third baseman. And he was our best outfielder. This is a guy that can defensively, and base running, he's above and beyond. The hitting part was the part that always stuck out. Will he chase out of the zone? We know what the answer is, but he's a bad ball hitter, and you just have to let him be. Plus, not a lot of guys, Boone, in today's game, hitting coaches-wise, they don't know how to teach to the front foot hitter. It's a one-way, my way or the highway, it seems like. They teach one basic strategy where it's like stay behind the ball, back foot, lift. And Javi is not that. He is not that. He is a front foot hitter that just gets it done with his athletic ability. And I remember Chili Davis speaking about when he was his hitting coach in Chicago, his best years, he was like, you just have to let him be. Just try to contain him within the zone, but don't take away his aggressiveness, because his aggressiveness is going to go out and get that baseball.
Eduardo, when we came up, first of all, one thing I've learned through my trials and tribulations is there is no one way. Everybody's different. Everybody's unique. There's certain things that we all have to do when the ball's in the hitting zone to be successful and be successful at a high level. But there's many ways to get there. So I agree with you on that. You talk about a couple things that are interesting to me. First, you talk about the Torkelson with the take to hit versus I've always been, you got to be ready to hit to take. Do you think in today's game, with all the emphasis being takeoff, in our day, it was average, home runs, RBIs. That's how you got paid. They were the three big things. Today, we're seeing it sway to OPS. You're talking about hitting the ball over the wall and taking walks and going to first base, controlling the strike zone. And it's taught at an early age. It's ingrained in these guys' heads to walk. I wonder if the certain type player that is not built that way, and I think of the most famous is a Vladimir Guerrero Sr., whereas some guys are not built to walk, and you can improve on your walks. I wasn't a 100 walk guy. I never was going to be. I was 50. Maybe if I worked on it, I'd be a 65, 70 walk guy, but I was never going to be 100. John Olerud was 100, and he was never going to be a 50 guy no matter where you slice it. Yeah. That's how you got to take the individual. Mm-hmm. The Torkelson example you were given, do you think that is a product of today with the emphasis on the OPS, walking, hitting the ball over the wall?
There's a lot of information out there, man. And that's the thing. These guys are, some of them, it's hard to try to process all that information. And, oh, by the way, you have to hit 97 with movement. That's tough. And that's what happens. And once you start struggling a little bit, you start losing a little bit of that confidence, it starts snowballing on you. And that's what happened to Torque, who the year before hit 30-some home runs, and he was the guy. Then he loses his job, and he goes into spring training trying to be that guy again I do believe, because of all that information that's coming in. You're right. You look at, right now, really good year, Jacob Wilson, athletics, right?
Oh, yeah, the young kid. Yeah, he's going to win a batting title.
Yeah, but this is the thing. What are they going to knock on? Oh, he doesn't walk.
Right, he's walked one time.
One walk?
One walk. He's got like 4 punch outs, 1 walk.
reminds me of Carlos Baerga back in the day. Poppy, I don't walk, man. I don't walk off the island. But I think of Wilson, who went to Grand Canyon, right, if I'm not mistaken. He doesn't walk. He finds a way of putting the ball in play, doesn't strike out, and he beats you. He got to walk off the other day against Texas. You don't even have to throw it in the zone, but this is a thing. He knows how to hit balls out of the zone. And he'll find a way to find green, find a way to put the ball in play. And, yeah, he's going to win a batting title. You're right. And he's going to hit probably 330 with an on-base percentage of 347.
347, right? That on a good year. On a good
and
year.
Then they'll talk, but this is the thing. They'll talk about WOBA. They'll talk about other stuff.
I can't even pronounce WOBA.
Yeah, you go with the WOBA, the batted ball in play.
Right.
Is this luck? Is this sustainable? All this stuff, and they forget about just the skill set of this player that last year in AAA, before he got called up, he was hitting 400. I mean, he
hit 400 for like 500 at bats, which is impossible. It's Ted Williams stuff.
But the WOBA and the exit velocity. And, oh, by the way, let's look at the bat speed. And I think that's what messed up Nolan Arenado last year. He looked at the bat speed, and he's like, man, I'm one of the lowest bat speeds in baseball. But what happens if you have a really good bat speed? Yeah, you're going to hit the ball most likely harder, but you're not going to find barrel that often because it doesn't stay in the zone long. Best bat speed in baseball, Giancarlo Stanton, right now, 2 sore elbows, and a lot of swing and miss. And, yes, he's got unbelievable pop, but then you look at Luis Arraez, who I hope he gets back healthy and on the field, but he wins batting championships, and people knock him for all the other stuff that he can't do. Yeah, he's a batting champ.
It's amazing because today's technology and everything these guys have at their fingertips, I've said it many times, I'm envious. I wish I had all this. That being said, you bring up the Arenado, was one of the best third basemen in the game for a long time.
Right.
And if it can get into his head about a statistical bat speed or exit velocity, when we played if you hit it and it ricochets off a seat in left field, that's pretty good. And I don't care how fast it's going.
Exactly.
Right? But you're right. Today, especially the young kids, and they're getting ready and they're getting their opportunity to go to big league camp for the first time. You go to one of these modern day batting cages and you watch a guy. I watch the minor league guys all the time, and it'd be like, I watch, I listen, I hear. We can tell when it's a good round. You're working the ball there. Woo, that was good. Sounds good. Comes off. Look up at the computer.
Not today.
I'll tell you what. Yesterday I was average 97. Today I only averaged 94.7. That whole drive home to his house, he's worried about that. When in retrospect, he just had a great session. He did everything he wanted to do. He knows it's good. It felt good until the computer told him it wasn't what it was yesterday. That's, to my point, is too much information in the wrong hands, I think, can be detrimental in the long run. I'm not saying for everybody. Some guys have that attitude is, I don't really care what my exit velocity, I don't care what my swing. Mm-hmm. I don't think Aaron Judge is really caught up in what his exit velocity is and what his swing speed is. I think he's caught up with, I feel good right now, and I'm off to a historic start. So there are guys, I think, and I'd say more the veteran guys than not, don't get caught up in it as much. But for this younger generation, it's how you're graded. It's how people look at you. It's how scouts evaluate you. And I don't know if it's necessarily a good thing for the game.
Well, you mentioned Aaron Judge. What was it? He finally got a home run yesterday, and everybody's like, oh, finally. He slugged. But
he had a bad month and hit 8.
Bad month. He hit 410 during the bad stretch. But because he didn't hit the ball out of the ballpark, what's wrong with Aaron Judge, right? It's like, well, oh, by the way, but we want him to hit homers. Look, it's a lot of people, a lot of voices. The thing is, we do know that this is a long season, and we do know that at the end of the day, they're humans playing it. The advantage that I have over you and a lot of other people is that I also get to hear opinions from former players in Spanish and interviews in Spanish. And I think that's a huge asset on my side, because the other day I listened to Juan Gonzalez, and he is, by the way,
Igor. Ooh,
He
you
is
talk about
brilliant.
a man that could drive a run in. All right, go ahead.
Brilliant. And he's managed the national team for Team Puerto Rico. He's done a great job managing the national team for Puerto Rico in many events. And he's won because he relates. He understands like the player. And he's like, look, I just want you to play the game. Forget about all that noise and all this. Just play the game. And he was talking about a rise. And he was saying, look, in today's statistics, there's no way that you can value on base above batting average and all that. He goes, because the reality is when you get a hit, you have an opportunity. When you get a single and you put the ball in play, you have an opportunity of driving in runs, of creating damage, of maybe, just forcing the defense to make a play. A walk, unless the bases are loaded, you're not driving in anyone. And then if you don't have speed, so he goes, he understands the value of on base, but there's no way he will argue that they're equals. There's no way that they're equals. And the other thing that he values in a big way, where analytically a lot of people don't value, is the ability to drive in runs. Boone, you've been an analyst. You've done it in nationally and everything in postseason, and you've played the game for many years, and you saw it from many vantage points. And every time we look at a prolific RBI guy, where the analytic department doesn't really look at that as much anymore or respect it, those guys use the entire field. Right-handed hitters, if it was my dad, Manny Ramirez, Albert Pujols, Miguel Cabrera, I can go on and on. They hit the ball to right center field. When you had your best RBI years, you were using the entire field. You weren't pulling.
Absolutely.
And there was a strategy to it, right? There was a game plan to you, like, I need to bring this guy in. And we don't value that in today's game as much as we did then. And it's just, to me, really interesting because we see a lot of losses out there where there could have been W's because guys do not know how to bring guys in.
Eddie, I'll tell you what, and that's the one thing that drives me crazy. And I tell people this all the time. I said, listen, I had some huge RBI years. I had some tough years offensively in the game of baseball. I was on both sides of the ledger. I know what it's like to be at the bottom. I know what it's like to be at the top. I can deal with an 0 for 4. It's going to happen. Even on some of my really good years, I'm going to go over. It's part. Maybe I'll turn a big double play and my team wins tonight. But the tough time I had was leaving that runner on third less than 2. That's what I lost sleep over. I see it today, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't see the guys losing sleep over it. I lose sleep over it as a fan sitting on the couch watching it. And you mentioned Juan Gonzalez. Yeah. I'm gonna break somebody out to you that was an unbelievable run producer in the early 90s, Cecil Fielder.
Oh, yes.
Those type of players. And you know what they did? You talk about using the field. I saw Juan Gonzalez, Cecil Fielder, Albert Bell. More than anyone I've ever seen with a runner on third, less than 2, break a bat for a little duck dork into center field. Everybody said that's lucky. I said that's not lucky. They know what they can't do in this situation. Yep. They can't roll over a ground ball to third base. Therefore, they're going to go inside, jam, duck snort into center field. Guess what that is? That's a point for my team.
Yeah, but
I watch these guys. What?
You know what that is? That's a negative exit velocity.
Oh.
That brings your exit velocity down, Booney. Your average of exit velocity, it brings it down. And when you go into Baseball Savant and you see that all of a sudden you're not in the 90th percentile because of that ability, it's just like I had a conversation with Sandy Alomar. He was talking to his brother, and he said, look, just imagine all the bunt base hits that Robbie Alomar used to have. That works against his exit velocity.
Right. But the players know. Your peers know.
Yeah.
Your peers know. All right. Speaking of Judge, how good is Judge? Are we at the point? I'm sitting here right now, and all due respect to Juan Soto, what he did a year ago. Love Shohei Ohtani. When he comes back and starts pitching again, Ohtani's the best player in the world because he does it at an all-star level on two sides of the ball. But let's just talk offensive players. No one for me is Aaron Judge. I told Aaron Boone this a few years ago. I said, Aaron Judge is the only man walking this earth that's capable of hitting 350 and hitting 70 home runs. It's never been done before. And Aaron said, well, I don't know about the 350. I said, well, of course, I don't know either. I'm shooting lofty. But I truly believe that. This man could hit 350 with 70 homers. And the only reason he might not be able to, because if he's hitting that well and keeps this up, he's not going to see enough pitches to do that. Right. But other than that, he's the only one out there with the skill set to do it. You agree with that? And then talk about what you're seeing and compare it to some of the greats that you've seen in the last 20 years.
All right. So he's completely different, and I don't put anything past him. I have conversations even with umpires. I go into the umpires clubhouse all the time, and there's no way to prepare for a guy like Aaron Judge. There's just no way to prepare for him, right? Because his strike zone's different. His approach is different. He can beat you to the opposite field. You hang one, he'll pull it. He brings his hands in really well. He runs decent for a big guy. There's a lot of things that he does do, and that's the part where it gets you. He can handle the pitch up in the zone, where a lot of big guys have a lot of trouble with. You look at, I'm going to say big guy Giancarlo Stanton when healthy, he has trouble up in the zone. Usually bigger guys, tall guys have issues up in the zone because you've always been taught pitch down, pitch down. So that's the way that they were always taught. Look for that pitch down in the zone. With his approach, even with this little tilt that he has, he catches up to everything up as well. And he has a way of lifting the baseball. And look, you can have any kind of bat in his hand. He's going to create damage because that ball's going to go just that much further than anyone else.
Because of the leverage.
Because of the leverage. And this is the thing. Because he does not have elite bat speed, he's better because he puts the ball in play. And when he puts the ball in play, it's crazy because he's got big hands, he's strong, and he is disciplined. It's the perfect guy there, and he's that double circle guy, right? Circle guy is the one that's not going to beat you. You double circle, and sometimes he's to the point where it's almost Barry Bonds, where you just have to put the four fingers up.
Right, and we both saw Barry, and I know you feel like I do. It's tough to put anybody even close to Barry Bonds. But what I've been watching, and he's been hot. Like you said, he's hitting 410. I'll tell you what, he sees the ball different than everybody else. I mean, he spits on sliders off the plate 2 inches like it wasn't even a thought in his mind. It's like he's seeing it before the rest of us are seeing it. It's pretty awesome to watch. I got to touch on this real quick. It's not a big deal. It wasn't a big deal to me. I think it was just a player scuffling early. They caught him. It could have been out of context. Soto's comments about, hey, I don't have Aaron Judge. I'm getting pitched too different. Well,
he was honest.
Right. You signed for $700 million. I expect they're going to pitch around you a little bit. I expect it. But that's kind of his forte, too, is really controlling the strike zone and getting on base. Everybody wanted to blow it up like it was this big slight to this. Alonso's sitting there going, I'm off to a great start. MVP start, Alonso is. I don't think it was a big deal. I know Carlos Mendoza, tremendous, one of my favorite managers in the game. I'm sure that's handled in-house, and it was never as big a deal as the media made it. Am I right or wrong?
Welcome to New York, right?
Yeah.
But he was being honest. I mean, the reality is there's no Aaron Judge there. And it's not fair to Pete Alonso to try to compare Aaron Judge with Pete Alonso. All Pete can do right now is just continue to produce and try to be that consistent all year and benefit from Juan Soto getting on base. I sort of look at it, and going back to the Barry Bonds situation here, because Soto gets on at a high level on base, Pete Alonso is going to have to be what Jeff Kent was to Barry Bonds.
That's a great comparison right there.
He's going to have to be able to just capitalize on the on-base percentage and create damage, hit doubles, and hopefully Juan can score from first. And Lindor, who's already has 13 leadoff base hits this year, leading all of Major League Baseball, and he's getting on base. Juan's going to continue to get pitched differently, and you have to be pitched differently when you don't have Aaron Judge back there. We already talked about how great Aaron Judge is, and no disrespect to Pete with a great start, but Pete has a lot more holes than Aaron Judge does.
And you know what, Alonso, we're all realists. When we're playing, we know who the guys are. And if we're talking, comparing myself to Barry Bonds in even my best years, It's like, come on, Brett. It's not even a comparison.
Okay, so let's go here.
The guys on the ground, we know what's going on. So Pete's not thinking he's Aaron Judge by any stretch.
No,
right.
But what a great position to be in, because that 3-year deal, he can opt out after this year. And after having seen Vladdy sign that deal, and knowing that Vladdy's not going to be an option for New York,
right?
He can continue to have a monster year and say, "Okay, boys, I'm opting out. Here we go. I'm going back into the free agent market again. New York, pay up. Let's go." You know
what and you bring up the Jeff Kent thing, and the one thing, you'll get the naysayers back in the day when Kent was having those big years, and Bonds was getting put on. You have to. It was Barry Bonds. It didn't matter who was behind him. Jeff Kent just for a few years happened to be the guy. I'll tell you what, and they said, he drove in all those runs because Barry was on all the time. I'll tell you what, though, when you're consistently a really good player like Jeff Kent was, and they consistently put the guy on in front of you, no matter how great he is, after a while it starts to wear on you like, wait a minute, am I that? It takes a special guy to come through time and time again, and I got to give Kent credit for not only because it can go the other way, too. They start putting on guys in front of you, it can spiral the negative way, and you go into a tailspin. The fact that Kent kept it together and had the great years when he did, I got to tip my cap to him because not everybody could do that. You look at a Pete Alonso, what he's doing. He knows how careful they're going to be with Soto, especially with the matchup, especially if they got a nasty righty in there. With the righty-lefty thing, it's always going to be a factor. And the fact that he's coming through with those opportunities, it just feeds your confidence level. And after a while, they're going to start going, wait a minute. Yep. The last 3 times we did this to put Alonso in that spot, he beat us. And now all of a sudden, that's how Soto gets pitched to a little bit more. I think when Juan is hot, and I think he proved it in the postseason, my opinion, that's what separated him from everybody else was the postseason and way he owned the batter's box better than everybody else did last September or last October. But at some point, he's going to get back to that Juan Soto. He's just not there. I saw this Juan Soto early in his San Diego days where he was scuffling. He ended up having an all-star caliber year. He's gonna do that eventually.
Do you think eventually he's, without even thinking, sometimes just turns on the radio or puts on a podcast, maybe the Bret Boone podcast, he puts it on and he's driving to the ballpark. He's automatically driving to Yankee Stadium instead of Citi Field. Do you think that's happened yet?
It could have. It could have.
I'm just saying, it's easier to go from the Mets to the Yankees than the Yankees to the Mets. And no one, it's history, right? I mean, it's the Yankees. It's history.
First of all, this is completely off topic. If the money's all the same, the year I just had in pinstripes, the teammates I have, everything, and the money's the same, and I'm going to change, I'm like, wait a minute.
314 down the line, 309.
I just had my best year. Obviously, I like this batter's box. I hit here. Fans love me.
I like Judge. Don't judge.
City loves me. I don't know. I don't know what went into his decision. He made his decision. Hey, he earned the right to do it. He got there. He turned down $400 million with Washington, and then got to be a free agent again. I tip my cap, and he did it at the right time.
Good for
All
him.
right. Speaking, we mentioned earlier in the podcast, you're just coming back from Chicago. Quick wrap on the Cubs. I had them picked to win that Central Division. They're really good. The Tucker ad, I think, was huge, but it's more than Tucker this year. How good are these Cubs? Are they for real?
Pete Crow Armstrong. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, he's lengthening the lineup. And the thing that I love about it is Craig Counsell told us yesterday in the meeting, we didn't get to touch on it too much during the game. But, everybody's asking, how long is he going to stay in the 7-hole? And Counsell looked at the lineup and he goes, if I move him up, or I move him up in the order, then there's a lane for opposing teams to bring in a lefty to get 2 lefties out. Pete Crow Armstrong is benefiting from, unless there's a lefty starter, he's benefiting from seeing righties all the time, especially relievers. And that, he goes, it's putting him in the right position to succeed. So there's a lot of lineup construction going on right there. They're not getting a lot of production offensively from the left side of the infield. And Shaw, they tried Shaw at third first. That did not work. Birdie's getting some at-bats there. We're seeing what's going on there. Third, I think eventually they're going to have to go get a third baseman. But I love their defense. Their defense is great, both in the outfield and infield. Their starters are giving them an opportunity to win. They're scoring a lot of runs. They lead all of baseball with runs scored. But the thing that concerns me a little bit is their bullpen, because we all know that ability to score runs all year, they're going to go into droughts, right? It happens. It's a long season. And you're going to put more pressure on the starters, more pressure on the relievers. But it's a good team in a winnable division. And I think Craig Counsell is getting a really good feel for his team. Seiya Suzuki is legit. And from the right-hand standpoint, he hits lefties well. Cal Tucker's going to get paid, by the way. This guy's unreal. I love their team because of the defense that they play and the way they run the bases. They're quick, they're aggressive, they force you to make plays in the infield, and they hustle everything out. I was really impressed with the Chicago Cubs, even though they ended up losing yesterday against the Phillies.
I saw, you mentioned the hustle. I saw it yesterday too on the game you covered when Horner hit that little fly ball at Wrigley Field.
Nico.
I mean, part of it is being a Cub and knowing that's the one ballpark in Major League Baseball that consistently the conditions are going to affect the ball, and he knows that. But he still ran out of the box, and he ended up making that, for sure out a double.
Yeah, we praise it, but it's what we're supposed to do, right? But that's
always.
I'm like, oh my God, he ran.
Because you're not used to it. You're not used to it.
We're so conditioned to see it. The one thing that I wanted to make a point of yesterday was Mark Rippinger behind the plate. He scored a perfect 100 in his last game, and yesterday he was nearly perfect. He was unbelievable behind the plate, the umpire. And we tend to always focus on bad calls all the time. And I focused on the great calls yesterday. Corners, especially with Nola, hitting the corners yesterday. You look at Taillon yesterday as well. He was strike one. They need to be finesse pitchers need umpires like that. And boy, did they get it yesterday. And that's why we had a really good pitching matchup yesterday in that game as well.
Move out west. Dodgers are the obvious choice. I think the Dodgers are just, they got one of the best records in baseball. And they're not, I don't know. I think they're just playing. All right, I'm gonna give you an opportunity. That whole division for me, I think it's the best division. I think the Padres are good. They're beat up right now.
Yeah.
I think that the Diamondbacks are definitely better. I picked the Giants a year ago to be a lot better than they were. I was disappointed. I didn't expect this out of the chute. What's up with the Giants?
I know the Giants are winning some crazy games too yesterday. Really, the little league inside to Parker. Hey, take it because sometimes they're going to give it away. Having a conversation with Steve Phillips that I do the leadoff spot with in the mornings, he thinks they're a fourth place team, and maybe they will be at the end of the year. But he says they're going to be a fourth place team by June, and I just don't see it. I don't see it because they can pitch, they can defend, and they're playing the game the right way. They're putting the ball in play. Wade, who takes a lot of pitches, they work pitchers, they get to the bullpens, and they just wear you out. The one thing, I don't believe that the Dodgers are going to win over 104 games this year. I don't believe it because I just think the way Dave Roberts has his team is he's going to try to keep everybody sharp. And this team is built more for October. Now they lost Glasnow with a sore shoulder yesterday coming out of the game. We still don't know how good Shohei's going to be. Sasaki I still have a lot of questions. Yamamoto's been pretty darn consistent. Snell is out. Kershaw, we don't know yet. He did his rehab the other day. Caglione had 3 hits off in that game. The pitching concerns me. It's like everybody else. No, it's the Dodgers. I understand. Mookie's in a rut right now. Freddie. Everybody's getting older too, and it's a one less month of playing of having an off season for the Dodgers because they're always in the postseason. With an older team, it catches up to you. It catches up to you in a way that maybe other people don't realize it, and I think Doc Roberts understands it. But I see them still competing for this division, but I'm not so sure that it's a lock like everybody else. I think once Shohei starts pitching, people call me crazy on this one. But I saw it with the Angels. I saw it when Phil Nevin was managing. I saw it also where all of a sudden Shohei has to pitch every 6th day. He dictates when he has to pitch. That means everybody else gets moved around a little bit in the rotation. And we're going to see if Dustin May, how long can he also be able to what's his durability? Because he's been
Stay healthy,
as
right?
well.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of health questions going on with the Dodgers. Their bullpen is older. Yes, they're talented. I still think Scott should be their closer. There's just a lot of what ifs right now, but they are on paper the most talented team there is, and rightfully so. People play them harder because they know they're the world champions. That happens. That's normal. But I still give it time. Do I have them in the postseason? Absolutely. Do I think they're a lock to win it? I like Arizona in that division. I like San Diego, the way they've been playing. You're right. They're beat up. It's just a tough division to go through each team 12, 13 times that you have to play them and end up with over 104 wins. It's a tougher division, man.
I agree. No, all good points.
Colorado. Ask you this: Colorado going to lose over 110 this year?
They're gonna be right at it. I got the over under at about 109.5. They're bad. They're bad.
4 wins. They got 4 wins this year.
They're bad. They're bad. They're the White Sox of a year ago.
Yeah.
Orioles, I didn't see this coming. I didn't think you get rid of Burns. How do you get better? The Orioles have been coming for years with this young nucleus, and to this point, for me, they've been the biggest disappointment and the worst pitching staff in baseball from an ERA perspective. On the flip side, this surprised me too. And I know we've been talking about Soto and the Mets. Mets best pitching in baseball don't have Minaya, Montas, not back, either one of them. And they got the best pitching in baseball. I had questions about Holmes going from closer to what he did last year to you're going to be a starter. He's got like a less than a 2.5 ERA. McGill, I mean, everywhere you do it, they're doing it. I thought that was going to be Phillies,
Yeah.
Atlanta. And the Braves are coming, by the way. I've been watching.
They are.
They're coming. Good. They started 0-7. They're coming. They're going to be a factor when it's all said and done. Everybody wanted to pick the Mets. Oh, Cohen went out, spent all this money. You got Soto. I said, yes, but they didn't address the pitching. And this is how much I know. A month in, they're not only leading the National League, they're leading the entire game of baseball in the pitching category. And give me your take on that. Is it what we think? Is it Mets, Phils, Atlanta? Who do you like in that division? Is it a fluke to this point that pitching can that pitching keep up? I don't see it keeping up in New York.
Why not? Right? I mean, they're playing great at home. They've lost 1 game at home. They're 7-8, if I'm not mistaken.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, they played really well at home, and that's sort of what you need. And you need guys to step up. And all the noise was put on the big signings. And then you come in and you see all the complimentary guys coming in and getting the bulk innings and winning ball games. And it's been the pitching. You're right; they've been phenomenal. They've been able to throw strike one early. I think that's worked. Defensively, they've been better. There's an expectation there. There's a different vibe when they play at Citi Field. And I think that plays to who they are. The Mets have really done a nice job with their. Is it sustainable? We don't know. We really don't know. They're hoping to see Sean Manaea back, coming in from the side, and maybe doing what he did last year. But right now, that I think will take care of itself. Philadelphia hasn't really been swinging the bat well. Yes, they won 2 out of 3 in Chicago. That, at least, I think, will help them huge in a major way. In Atlanta, Austin Riley and Olsen, they started swinging the bats, and that's been the difference. Once they started swinging the bats, it's like the pressure came off. Ozuna continues to get on base, continues to get a high walk rate, sees a lot of pitches. So we'll see what goes on with Atlanta. But touching back on Baltimore, wow, man. We talked about it in the offseason. Everybody talked about why have they not gone out to get more pitching, right? And that's been a problem. They've already started tinkering with openers. I agree that the one thing that Baltimore has not done is given their young players an opportunity to play both against righties and lefties. They're platooning so much instead of letting and allowing them to develop and just figuring out if they can do it at the major league level. Heston Kjerstad, you got to play him every day. Right now, the other two the guys that have been disappointing have been Rutschman and Henderson. They've not been swinging the bat the way that they should be. These are guys that they're leaning on offensively. We talk so much about their pitching, but offensively, they're not scoring runs. And then you're putting more pressure on a staff that really is going to need runs to be scored. Well, as soon as we saw it just on paper, we're like, these guys are going to have to average at least 4.5 runs in order to be in games. They're not even getting to 4. And that's a problem for them.
Yeah, I think they're gonna be in trouble in that division because I think Boston's better than they're playing as well.
Yeah, Boston is a lot better. Alex gets those guys ready.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is, there's a few teams in the league where there's a manager that can figure out a way, it doesn't matter what kind of talent they have, of the players wanting to get to the ballpark. When you walk into Fenway, when you walk into that clubhouse, it's not the stadium. I really believe it's the environment. I walk in and you can tell that guys are happy to get in their cars, say bye to the kids and the wife, and go to the ballpark. We've all been there.
There's something to be said for that. Absolutely. And you know what's interesting to me too, and I'm jumping all over the place here with the Mets, Phillies, Atlanta saga, is we just talked about the National League West. I mean,
Right.
You really have potentially, as it sits right now, 4 teams going to the postseason. Well, I don't think that's ever happened from one division,
Right.
but in retrospect, you've got 4. Then you got the Phillies, Mets, and Atlanta. All we look at right now on paper, those are playoff teams. Well, there's not that many spots, so I think it's really going to be interesting on the battle of not only teams but the divisions on who's going to be that dominant division that throws 3 out there.
Well, last year in the American League Central, we had 3, right? And
Yeah.
the thing is, because of the White Sox, they were so bad that they beat up on them.
Right.
And what happens now with Colorado? Colorado's pretty much the team with 4 wins so far this year that those teams in the West have to beat up on Colorado in order, because they're going to be beating up on themselves. You know, it's going to happen.
I haven't seen this before. They came to San Diego for 3-game series. They didn't score a run.
I know.
For 3 days.
I know. And they
That
got Bam Bam Newlands fired.
That's
Yeah.
That's interesting. Touch really quick on what you're seeing. I know what I'm seeing from it. It happens. Devin Williams.
I think he's tipping.
That's why I wanted to ask you, because I know if anybody's going to know about tipping, it's going to be Eduardo Pérez. I'm wondering about that, but I'm also wondering this. Trevor Hoffman, in his day, going back to our generation.
Right.
What was the difference? Was it his fastball? No, he could pinpoint his fastball, but his fastball, if you knew it was coming, you're going to get it. The fact was, we didn't know it was coming. And what we hate as hitters is we don't like to be embarrassed. What embarrasses you? The Bugs Bunny changeup.
Oh.
If Trevor had his good one, it doesn't matter if I'm sitting on it, because I was a guy that sat on pitches. If I sat on it, got it, it was still 50-50 that I would even touch it. Now, I think Devin Williams in his success, I mean, he's had a sub-2 ERA for 3 years running coming into this year. And it's not because he's tricking everybody. It's like that changeup is something special. It's that special changeup, and all of a sudden, is it doing something not as special this year because they're onto it? But I also like the fact that I like the road you're going down, and if anybody knows about it, the tipping aspect.
No. See, this is the way I see it. One, he's in his last one of the outings that I saw, and I believe it was against Toronto. He wasn't even throwing strikes. He was behind in counts. And I'll give you an example. To me, if there's a guy that has a really good changeup, and we'll use Hoffman, but the fastball is the one that you're like, man, I can't miss the fastball, because if I miss the fastball, when that changeup is coming, I'm in trouble, even though I might be sitting on it. But there's always that doubt. If you're 100% sure that the changeup is coming, or even if the fastball's coming, I'm hunting the fastball off Trevor Hoffman because it was a four-seam up in the zone is what he wanted to do to try to blow it by you. You're going to get it. It's sort of like Randy Johnson, right? Fastball slider, because I'm using him because I knew what was coming with him, right? I ended up hitting 4 home runs in my career against him. But I wasn't looking for the slider. I was looking for the number one because I thought the slider was so unpredictable. I didn't know where it was going to be. Sometimes it had great break. Sometimes it was flat. If it's in this case, I'm thinking I have to look for the fastball. Why? Because his changeup has a real deep dive to it. And if I'm playing the Yankees, I'm like, and I know a fastball is coming or I know a changeup's coming, I'm taking until I have 2 strikes because it's designed to be a pitch thrown out of the zone. I'm looking for the fastball that he's going to try to get ahead on in the zone. And if I'm sitting dead red at 95 or 97,
it's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
That's a great point too, though, because if he is tipping, even if you don't want to mess with the changeup, even if he hangs the changeup, okay, you don't want to mess with it.
You're still going to be on time, right?
But the thing is this: if you got an 0-0 count, you're Eduardo Pérez. I'm saying you're yourself right now. You're in the box and you've got his pitches in an 0-0 count. If you know a changeup's coming, I know how you think. You go, I don't want to deal with that changeup. I'll take it. Hopefully, it's a ball.
Right.
If you go 1-0 and you've got his sides, another changeup, you're taking again. Okay, now it's 1-1. You're waiting for, wait a minute, it's a fastball.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay, I'll use Johan Santana, who had a great changeup, right?
Great changeup.
So if I'm taking a deep dive into Johan Santana, I'll use an example when we were in Minnesota one game where I remember telling Casey Blake I was with the then Indians. I know it's Cleveland Guardians.
Oh, yeah, you can't be saying that.
I know, but I looked at Casey and I go, Casey, if he throws me a 1-0 changeup, I'm going to look at you after I hit it. Because you also have to know the tendencies of the pitcher. When he's going to throw the changeup, when is he going to throw it for a strike or when is he not? So there are counts that are chase counts where it's like, if he chases, now, if I chase it, I'm looking fastball. It's designed for a chase. I'm 0-1. I know he's not going to try to throw that changeup again for a strike until the count favors it. With Johan Santana, he would throw 2-1, 1-0, or 2-1 pitches for strikes on the changeup. I knew that. So I would sit on a changeup up in the zone that is designed for a strike because I'll be on time. And that's a layup. So you have to also know the counts at this level, and this is the part that sometimes it drives me nuts. There's no other baseball that's a higher level than this. So do your homework on it. Get ready. Prepare for a test. You have 162 games. That means you have 162 exams that you have to go in. And sometimes you're going to get an F, but you always should go and prepare. You always should go and prepare. And hitters should know when those pitches are coming depending on the counts. They have to study it. And some don't want to do it. They believe in their God-given ability. But in today's game, with so much information out there, where you can go, if it's into the bat program that they have or whatever it is, you go in and you say, what counts do they throw this pitch for a strike most of the time? And that's when you sit on a pitch, and especially if you know that it's coming, ay, papa Dios, that's when I start speaking Spanish and I forget all about the English.
I'm telling you, it's right, and it's next level. And in the second half of my career, that's what I started doing. And it was, I know their tendencies, but also I knew what have I done off them? What have I done off them in this game? What have I done off them in this series? Who's catching? What's he going to put down behind me? And I'd go into at bats when I left that on deck circle. It was an approach, and sometimes, like you said, I'm going to get beat. But over the long haul, I'm going to take my chances. I might be sitting on a breaking ball, and I might have to sit there for 4 pitches. But just because he throws me 2 fastballs, 1 in off the plate, that doesn't mean I have been. That's how I hit later in my career. And I was disciplined to, I'm going to stick with this. So I understand what you're talking about and the concept of, okay, in this count, he tends to throw that changeup for a strike. I know that because of my research, so I'm going to sit on it. I get it.
We were in, it was Dave Fleming, it was Tim Kirchin and myself in Atlanta, and we had the late Hank Aaron on with us for 2 innings, if I'm not mistaken. And he said, I was a guess hitter. He goes, but I was an educated guess hitter.
Educated guess. I like that.
And that reminds me so much of what you were saying. It's that you're sitting on pitches. That you're an educated guess hitter. You're sitting on it because you know at one point or another he's going to come in there, and when he does, I'm going to be ready for it. We don't have a lot of those guys. We don't have a lot, and we don't have a lot of those guys now.
And the thing is, you had to worry, off the real astute pitchers like a Pedro. I've got to, if I'm sitting on an off speed, and I didn't sit slider, curveball. I'm sitting hard or soft. Okay.
Right.
Now, if Pedro throws me a fastball, I got to also know it's Pedro, and he's watching my body language. How did I take that pitch? The way I take that pitch, did I pull it off that I just didn't want that fastball? Because Pedro will go, wait a minute. I threw Bret this pitch in this situation, a fastball right down the middle, and he didn't even flinch. That's not like him. Now I might have to call an audible. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So now the chess game begins. If I've got an astute, smart catcher behind there that goes, hey, Boone, last time he took that fastball away and he hit it in the gap. Well, he thinks we're not going to throw him a fastball away again. He goes fastball away, and I turn around like, are you crazy? No, he's out thinking me. So we could talk about this for hours. This is my favorite part of the game. Okay, what was I going to? Oh, I saw at the opening. I was just going to touch on. I'm not going to put you on the hot seat about the whole Sanders clan. Did you see the prank call that went into Shadur Sanders?
Yes.
Okay, what does Tony Perez do to a young Eduardo Pérez if he pulls something like that when he's 18 years old? How much trouble you in?
Oh my God. I mean, forget that he sent him a text message or whatever, apologizing later and all that. It's not Tony Perez. It's my mom. My mom would have kicked my ass.
You're done.
Patuca would have crushed me.
Yeah, Bob Boone's chasing me around. He's chasing me around with that old-fashioned mask that he used to wear.
Big Boone.
Big Boone.
Hey, are you kidding me? He saw the number on an iPad, and here we go. And he's in the back. And not only that, he got the number and he gave it to his buddies, and he's sitting in the back like. And
he's sitting in the giggling.
What? First of all, my dad would have said, if you're going to do it, you do it. You have the sack, and you do it. And he didn't. He just stood around like a bystander. That drove me nuts. Yeah.
Well, Eduardo, I appreciate you doing this, man. I appreciate you coming on. Always fun, and I'm glad I got to talk to you about it.
One more.
All right, you got it.
One more.
You're
for all those listeners out there. That guy right there. This guy right here. Walk off, base hit up the middle with the bases loaded, and we celebrate. This is in Cincinnati. We celebrate. Everybody and then all of a sudden the box score comes in, and it's like 8-6, force out, game-winning RBI. Boone doesn't get the hit because Willie Green did not touch second base, and all hell broke loose in that.
Because
outstanding.
I try to tell people all the time, man. You'll see a fan like, who cares? It's only one hit. As a hitter, a hit is a hit. Oh, a hit. That's another thing you'll lose sleep over. Don't even get into me if you lose a homer. A homer, you might be in the corner with developing a twitch.
I giggle. Sometimes I just belly laugh by myself just in that moment. I don't know if you know, just out of the blue, I just belly laugh. And I'm like, wait, no, that's for me. I just wanted to share it.
Awesome.
Right there.
Eduardo, I appreciate it, man. I'll catch up with you down the road. For those of you watching the Bret Boone podcast, now we have our own YouTube channel. Check it out. For those of you downloading the podcast, download it wherever you get your podcast or the Odyssey app. And until next time, keep it here.